Hello and welcome to the F1 Word. My name is Elizabeth Blackstock, US editor over at planetf1.com, and today I'm taking the reins from Sean because I, for one, cannot believe that the 2005 Formula One season took place 20 years ago. That wild year saw the end of Michael Schumacher's dominance with Ferrari, handing over the title to a feisty Fernando Alonso and a revitalized Renault team. That season's US Grand Prix was a total farce, and it was also the last year of Minardi, British American Racing, and Jordan, at least before they took on some new names. Today, we're taking a look back at where those 2005 drivers have ended up 20 years on, starting from the very bottom of the championship standings. Finishing dead last in the F1 2005 standings was Robert Doornbos, who competed in just a handful of events for Minardi. The former tennis player also contested a couple of races with Red Bull Racing in the future before heading off to America for a season of Champ Car, where he took a win at Mont Tremblant. Then he bounced between A1 Grand Prix and IndyCar for a few years before going on to join Ziggo Sport as an F1 analyst, a job that's going to become incredibly common the further we go down this list. Fascinatingly, Doornbos also co-founded a company named Kiru, which specialized in, personal pleasure devices. Who would have thought? Vitantonio Liuzzi's Formula One debut took place in 2005 when he contested 4 events for Red Bull Racing. The subsequent 2 years were spent at Toro Rosso before the Italian racer moved to Force India and then to HRT. After a stint in Super GT, Super Formula, and Formula E, Liuzzi stepped away from active competition. Back in 2018, he opened a delicious-looking restaurant with his wife Francesca that was recently featured on the Food Network. If any of you have eaten there, let us know in the comments. Japanese racer Takuma Sato kicked off his professional career with Formula One in 2002. Between 03 and 05, he took part in a handful of events for British American Racing Honda before moving to Super Aguri. When Super Aguri folded, Sato's F1 career came to a premature end, and he moved over to IndyCar, where he went on to take 2 wins at the coveted Indianapolis 500. Now, that's the only race he really runs in a year, and he spends a lot of time working with You Japan, a charity that he founded. Brazilian racer Antonio Pizzonia was in his final year of Formula One competition back in 2005, substituting for an injured Nick Heidfeld at Williams. Sadly for him, that was the end of his time in F1. Since then, he's raced for Champ Car, GP2, and Stock Car Brazil. Most recently, he competed in Boss GP, a new single-seater series where he was Open Class champion in 2023. Austrian racer Patrick Freisacher competed in exactly 11 races for Minardi during the 2005 season, which also happened to be the sum total of his time in F1. Soon after, his personal sponsors failed to pay the team, and, well, you know what happens next. In 2006, Freisacher joined A1 Grand Prix, then moved to the American Le Mans Series, which we now know as IMSA, but a back injury brought his racing career to a premature close. Back when Formula One had its 2-seater experience, Freisacher was one of its drivers, and now he's a regular at Red Bull showruns. Pedro de la Rosa's intermittent F1 career saw him contest 1 single race in 2005, the Bahrain Grand Prix. He returned for a handful of events in 2006 with McLaren, then again in 2010 and 2011 with Sauber, before wrapping up his time in F1 with HRT. Afterward, de la Rosa ran his own driving school, served as technical and sporting director for the Techeetah Formula E team, and is now ambassador for Aston Martin's F1 program. In 2005, Christian Albers contested the full F1 season with Minardi, scoring his first points at the disastrous 2005 US Grand Prix, where only 6 cars started. Later that year, he confirmed he'd joined Midland for 2006, which was then bought out the year after by a Dutch company called Spyker. But at the end of the day, Albers didn't have enough sponsor dollars to stick it out behind the wheel, though he did make a brief return in 2014 as the team principal at Caterham F1 before that folded. Albers' post-F1 career consists of DTM, sports car racing, and so much more. Recently, he's also joined Viaplay as a broadcaster. Narain Karthikeyan made his F1 debut in 2005 with Jordan, competing in every race without much success. His only points-paying finish came in that 2005 US Grand Prix, which saw 6 cars on the starting grid. He returned in 2011 and 2012 with HRT, but again, his results left a lot to be desired. Instead, he found success in Auto GP, Super GT, and the Asian Le Mans series, and now he's the founder of the NK Racing Academy in India, which calls itself India's Formula One driver pipeline. Alexander Wurz only completed 1 race in 2005, but his podium position in a McLaren at Imola launched him way up the standings, ahead of a couple full-time competitors. whereas his F1 career came to an end in 2007, after which he established himself as a two-time winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He retired in 2015 and now acts as chairman of the Grand Prix Drivers Association, and he supports his sons Charlie and Oscar in their Formula racing aspirations. Portuguese racer Tiago Monteiro made his F1 debut in 2005 with Jordan, taking one career podium at the US Grand Prix in Indianapolis. Did you know that's the only podium for a Portuguese driver in all of F1 history? He remained with the team for one more year before going off to the World Touring Car Championship, and now he manages the career of Antonio Felix da Costa and took part in quite a few various forms of racing at the Nürburgring in 2024. Austrian racer Christian Klein contested just a handful of races in 2005 as a Red Bull driver, sharing his car with Vitantonio Liuzzi. Over the course of 49 starts between Jaguar, Red Bull, and HRT, Klein scored a total of 14 points. After his time in F1, he moved over to the Australian V8 Supercar Series and joined various touring and sports car racing series all around Europe. Most recently, he was up there contesting the Nürburgring Langstrecken Series in 2024. 1997 F1 champion and son of the renowned Gilles Villeneuve, Jacques Villeneuve was in the closing stages of his F1 career coming into 2005. He departed the sport midway through 2006, after which he took up a varied career in sports cars, touring cars, and even NASCAR. His latest stint behind the wheel came in 2023, when he took part in a handful of WEC events with Vanwall, albeit without a whole lot of success. Today, he's also a regular pundit for Sky Sports F1. Sauber driver Felipe Massa was still a pretty fresh face in F1 back in 2005, taking home a best finish of 4th that season. But his talent was clear. Ferrari soon snatched up the Brazilian racer, and in 2008, he very nearly snatched the World Drivers' Championship. Massa remained in F1 through 2017, ending his career with Williams, and now he's a regular in Brazil's Stock Car Pro Series, with the occasional appearance in IMSA's LMP2 class. Oh, and we can't forget that controversial lawsuit Massa has mounted, alleging that he is the rightful winner of the 2008 F1 Driver Championship, not Lewis Hamilton. He seems to be pretty busy with that these days. Red Bull driver David Coulthard was winding down his F1 career in 2005 before he'd leave the sport altogether in 2008 after taking 13 total wins. He moved to DTM for a couple years before stepping back from full-time competition, but you'll still spot Coulthard in the paddock because he served as a Red Bull consultant and also as a commentator for the BBC, Channel 4, Viaplay, and F1 TV. You'll still regularly find Coulthard on a broadcast on any given F1 weekend. Oh, poor Nick Heidfeld. He had to step away from Williams after 15 races in 2005, having first injured himself in testing and then being hit by a motorbike. It wasn't his best year, to say the least. Despite the bad luck, he was back with BMW Sauber in 2006, ultimately retiring in 2011 with 13 podiums but no wins. Afterward, he contested Formula E between 2014 and 2018, racing for both Venturi and Mahindra, and he took a class win at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, Heidfeld is one of the minds behind the FG series, an allegedly upcoming electric open-wheel racing series that says it'll be the cost-effective alternative to Formula E. Australian racer Mark Webber was a BMW Williams driver in 2005, though most modern F1 fans will probably more likely remember him as Sebastian Vettel's teammate and the frustrated number 2 driver at Red Bull Racing. After leaving F1 in 2013, Webber went off to WEC, where he became a world champion with Porsche. Now he serves as the occasional pundit, but he's better known for being the manager of McLaren driver Oscar Piastri. Between 2000 and 2017, Jenson Button charmed his way through the F1 world, and in 2005, he was a B.A.R. Honda driver. Later, in 2009, he went on to become world champion with Brawn before ending his career in a very middling McLaren. Though his final years in F1 were a little disappointing, Button was still possessed by the racing bug, and he took a championship over in Super GT in 2018. He's also competed in a handful of NASCAR Cup Series events, and was one of the drivers of the Chevrolet Camaro Garage 56 entry at the 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans, which was designed to kind of showcase NASCAR's upcoming technology, if you can believe that. Now, Button is a very good commentator for Sky F1. Between 1993 and 2011, Rubens Barrichello took 11 wins in Formula One. In 2005, he was partnered with Michael Schumacher at Ferrari, finishing on the podium 4 times that season. After F1, Barrichello competed in a season of IndyCar before moving to Brazil's Stock Car Pro Series, endurance racing, and commentary. Now he's a co-host of the Acelerado's YouTube channel, where he tests some of the world's greatest cars. And if you want to see him race, he's still active down in Brazil. Ralf Schumacher, brother to the inimitable Michael, competed in F1 between 1997 and 2007, representing Toyota for all but one race. After leaving F1, he went to DTM, first as a driver and then as a mentor. Today, Schumacher is still a regular face in the world of F1 punditry, and he's made waves by coming out as gay, something that's still pretty taboo in the racing world. Italian racer Giancarlo Fisichella competed in F1 for a variety of teams between 1996 and 2009, but back in 2005, he was Fernando Alonso's teammate at Renault. His individual performances kind of left something to be desired, but his consistency was critical for Renault to seal its Constructors' Championship. After F1, Fisi went on to compete with AF Corsa in endurance racing, taking class wins at Le Mans and Petit Le Mans, as well as getting back behind the wheel in an S5000 event in 2022. Most recently, he's been the back-to-back champion of the Italian GT Endurance Championship in the GT3 category. Colombian racer Juan Pablo Montoya's penultimate year in Formula One was 2005, which also happened to see him take his last win of the series in Brazil. McLaren parted ways with Montoya at the halfway stage of 2006, and after that, he went off to America to contest NASCAR, IndyCar, and sports car racing, where he became a huge success. Montoya took a 2019 title in IMSA, and also a second Indy 500 victory in 2015. Today, he's ventured into the world of F1 punditry, and he's also a really strong supporter of the racing careers of his children. In 2005, Michael Schumacher's championship dominance came to an end. The 7-time world champion would continue on in Formula One through 2006 with Ferrari, and then return again in 2010 and 2012 with Mercedes, but he was never back on that championship form. Sadly, Schumacher suffered a severe head injury while skiing with his son Mick in 2013. Since then, the German has been recovering in the privacy of his family home. The Iceman Kimi Räikkönen took second overall in the F1 2005 championship 2 years before he secured his one and only title. Räikkönen's turbulent career saw him briefly leave the sport for rallying, only to return to F1 between 2012 and 2021. Since then, he's retired from full-time racing, though he still does enjoy a handful of NASCAR Cup Series races now and again. The only driver from the 2005 Formula One season still competing in the sport is none other than Fernando Alonso, the man who won the title that year. Modern F1 fans, you know Alonso's accomplishments. He won his second F1 title in 2006, went on to take a World Endurance Championship and wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Plus, he's tried his hand at the Dakar Rally and the Indy 500, which we can't say the same of for a lot of his compatriots. Heading into the 2025 season, Alonso's going to be putting in another year with Aston Martin alongside teammate Lance Stroll. The team hasn't exactly had it easy these last few years, but hopes are high now as the outfit opens its own wind tunnel and employs Adrian Newey for the 25 season. How is that for a little blast from the past? For more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the F1 Word, and for the latest and greatest news from the motorsport world, head over to planetf1.com. My name is Elizabeth Blackstock, and I'll see y'all around.